this year's budget. And there are several slides that you're going to see us walking through, 15 to be exact. And so we got a really good chance of being out of here within an hour, unless for some reason I get long-winded and ramble. Would anybody like to land wage of whether you get out of here in an hour or not? We'll see what happens. I'll do my very best. But each year, we want to remind you of some goals that the community has set. When I say the community, this has been set through the City of Hopkinsville in partnership with the Community Vision Plan. And this vision plan is something that is spearheaded through our local Chamber of Commerce, has been done so since 2005. And so some of these goals we really embrace because they come out of the vision plan, and then some of the goals are just specific to what we set as strategic goals some 4 years ago. And so you'll see the baseline of 2014, and I'm not going to walk through every single goal, but I do want to highlight a couple of them. For instance, payroll. In 2014, the total equivalent payroll paid in the city of Hopkinsville, and what that means for those that aren't familiar with it, is that's the total payroll paid by employers to employees within the city of Hopkinsville. Doesn't include areas outside the city of Hopkinsville. This is not the tax revenue collected through payroll, or our budget would be a lot larger. This is the equivalent payroll, the actual payroll paid to employees by employers in the city of Hopkinsville. In 2014, we had a baseline of $724,303,401. Currently, we're at just over, right at $853 million. That's the estimate by the end of this fiscal year. So we've seen growth. By the year 2019, we want to be a $1 billion community. Now, to be very candid about it, I think it'll be very tough for us to reach that $1 billion mark within the next year and a half, but we are making progress towards that goal, and as you'll see shortly, we've seen some good growth in our payroll dollars over the past several years. I also want to acknowledge tourism. We set a goal based on our baseline of being 14th in the state in 2014, of being a top 10 county in the state of Kentucky by the year 2019. We are currently 16th based on 2016 estimates. We believe the 2017 number will come in stronger. We were hoping that number might even come in today. It may have, but not by time for us to get this put into the presentation. But we're confident the 2017 number will be stronger. Anyone care to guess why we are confident 2017 number will be stronger? The eclipse. So we'll have an artificial impact on that number, but nevertheless, we're looking forward to see exactly what that impact was. You'll see our unemployment rates are moving in the right direction. When we set the goal in 2014, it was 6.6%. Our four-year goal is 5.5%. We're currently at 5.1%. That's a number that adjusts every month, and so it's potentially that number could adjust up between now and the end of 2019. Hopefully it will not. It's been in the last several months, it's been somewhere between 4.5% and 5.2%. So it seems pretty steady in that range currently. But again, that number changes every single month, and so we certainly don't take for granted that we're at a fairly good unemployment number right now. Move us to the next slide. Again, I'm not going to cover every single one of these just simply for the sake of time. As we look at the next slide, we have some goals in the area of construction. You may have noticed on that slide I just passed that our population numbers are fairly flat according to census estimates. Now, we would acknowledge that census estimates are flawed in the way they count soldiers. And this isn't the issue of the deployed soldier count that happens every 10 years. It's simply an issue in the formula that is used to count soldiers during an estimate, which relies heavily on their taxation record, their home of taxation. And for many, that's not Kentucky. They choose some other state because it's a no-income tax state. And so there are many soldiers living in Hopkinsville and Christian County that claim another state as their home of record for taxation purposes, and as a result, are often undercounted in census estimates. And so we're never happy with the census estimate number. But that being said, we realize to grow our population base, we must continue to invest in quality of life and quality of place initiatives that will make us a more attractive community to soldiers and others. But we also recognize we have to have more residential units available for soldiers and others. And so when you look at that indicator of our construction, you'll see that in 2014, we had 38 total units constructed that year. That included 23 single-family, 9 multifamily, and 6 commercial. Well, 38 total units in 2014 as an average would not be sufficient to help us grow our community from a population perspective. So we set a 4-year goal of having 500 total units built over the 4-year time frame. Currently, we're at a cumulative of 217 total units with 107 single-family and 110 multifamily. So that's just looking at residential units, not commercial units. We've had much more significant growth in commercial units, especially with the addition of Hopkinsville Town Center, the $30 million new retail center just south of Eagle Way Bypass along Fort Campbell Boulevard. The good news is we also have several subdivisions in the planning stages or being implemented as we speak, and that's a result of some of the residential incentives that Hopkinsville City Council have recently passed that allows for good reason to be investing in our community and developing more residential units. And so, again, I want to applaud Hopkinsville City Council and Steve Bourne and his team at Community Development Services for helping us come up with a new set of residential incentives that we are already seeing pay us dividends. We need to see that number continue to grow if we want to provide the inventory necessary to attract new residents to our community and to give current residents more options. And that's important because as you give current residents more options and they have the ability to move into different homes, it frees up other homes at a different level in the housing stock. So it's considered the move-up effect. When somebody moves from a home at the $100,000 to $125,000 range to maybe the $175,000 to $200,000, they vacate a home that's now available for more $100,000. It has a positive impact on that. Also want to point out that community safety has been an important goal for the Hopkinsville in the past few years, certainly through administration and during my administration. And as we set the goal in 2014, we were ranked 9th overall amongst our peer cities. And those were peer cities that were chosen in the state of Kentucky that ranged from about 20,000 population to about 60,000 population. So cities like Madisonville and Henderson and Owensboro and Bowling Green and Ashland and Covington and Paducah, Richmond, cities like that, Elizabethtown, 17 peer cities in the state of Kentucky. In 2014, we were ranked 9th. Our goal is to be in the lowest 25%, or in other words, basically the top 4. We're currently in the top 6, okay? And so we're certainly making good progress. Again, that's a testament to the men and women of our public safety offices here in the police department and the fire department. And why I include the fire department in that is because they often help us address some of the life safety issues that may exist in neighborhoods. And when you have those life safety issues, you have kind of an invitation for criminal element. And so really it is a tandem effort between the fire department and the police department to ensure we have a safe community, with obviously the police department playing an extremely vital role in that particular area. So again, we've got great departments and they're doing great work and we're making progress towards our goal, but we still have a little bit further to get. In fact, we set to be in the top 25 percentile. I would suggest all of us would like to be number 1 when it's all said and done. I mean, we're happy to be number 6 compared to number 9 or number 12 where we were a few years ago, but I think we want to be number 1 when it's all said and done. But the message is we do have a safe community, and it's getting safer. It's getting safer every single day thanks to the hard work of our police and fire department. The next 2 goals deal with education, and I won't touch on those specifically, but you can see those. There's been good progress being made in both graduation rate and ACT composite score, and that's extremely important because, again, if we want to attract more people to our community and we want to increase pride in our community, then the quality of our educational systems, both K through 12 and higher education, are extremely important. Now, we don't have goals on this slide dealing with higher education, but I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that we have outstanding post-secondary opportunities right here in our community, certainly at Hopkinsville Community College, where Dr. Young reminds us great things are happening every single day. In fact, we've got a great building being built out of the ground to provide even more opportunities at this very time, and at the Murray State University Regional Campus. And so we've got great educational opportunities, but we certainly want to strive to be even better. By the way, if you have questions along the way, don't feel like you have to wait to ask. That's to the media and anyone in the audience. I'll be happy to answer them at any point. And if I can't answer it, Robert knows that he's on the hot seat at that particular point. Right, Robert? You're good. All right. So speaking of population and making a better community, I don't think anyone that's been paying attention to this community is unfamiliar with the WINS initiatives, the Wellness, Infrastructure, and Neighborhoods Equal Success initiatives. But because I was giving this update this morning, I wanted to acknowledge that when we talk about building a better Hopkinsville, we talk about building a better Hopkinsville and Christian County that's more attractive not only to our current residents, but to future residents, we must continue to be willing to invest in our infrastructure that makes us attractive, to invest in the assets and the aspects of a community that make people excited to want to be here, to want to live here, to want to visit here. And that's what we've been trying to do through this WINS initiative, a city-county partnership, unique in its kind. There's not many that we can find throughout this country where a city and a county have partnered together on a package of investment opportunities to help move their community forward. And listen, I'll be very candid. I realize that not everybody in our community thinks the WINS initiative is a good thing. And I'm okay with that, and I hope you are too. because you'll never be able to do anything bold and aggressively with 100% unanimous support. It just will never exist. What you must be willing to do is believe that you're doing the right thing, believe that you have the right motivation for why you're doing it, and be willing to persist through some of the friction that is felt when you're making progress. Because as my high school physics teacher tried to teach me, I was not very good in physics, but as he tried to teach me, any forward motion creates resistance. Those are facts. And so I recognize that, and I don't take that lightly that there are people that have a different perspective. In fact, this past Saturday, I was at the doorstep of one of them, and he told me exactly what he didn't like about some of these projects, and I listened as attentively as I can listen, which I thought was pretty good in that particular moment, and then I politely explained that I disagreed. And then we had the exchange for why we disagreed. We're doing the WINS initiative not only for our current generation, but for the young people that are coming after us. And so when we think about building a better Hopkinsville, sidewalks are not just about safe streets. They are certainly about safe streets. But they're also about economic development. They're also about community pride. They're also about healthier lifestyles. And so the sidewalk projects that are being pushed forward in the WINS initiative, I hope that everyone is excited to see them happening. And we realize that there are other projects that need to happen. We realize that not every project that could happen is funded in the WINS initiative. But this is our big step in the right direction. And perhaps in the years to come, there'll be additional projects that need to be done. We'll simply have to have the resources to get them done. But I include this map to my right, to your left, as you're looking at me, because I want you to see where these sidewalk projects are occurring. I want you to understand how the city is being impacted by them. And if you haven't taken the time, I know council has, if you haven't taken the time to really understand where the projects are occurring, it might get lost on you how much this is going to impact all of Hopkinsville. So I'm going to step away from the microphone for a second, or actually I'll take it with me, Joe. That way, yeah, he's shaking his head. I made a good decision there. So what you're looking at here are green, yellow, and red sidewalks represent replacement sidewalks. Sidewalk infrastructure that existed, that based on scoring conditions are now being replaced. When I say scoring conditions, in 2015, the Hopkinsville City Council authorized administration to enter into a consultant contract to have all of our sidewalk infrastructure evaluated. And we had a third-party consultant come in and walk every city street looking at our sidewalk infrastructure, paying close attention to those sidewalks that were existing sidewalks, as well as areas that may need new sidewalks for life safety issues and connectivity to parks and schools and critical community assets, okay? And so that was done in 2015. And the evaluator came back and gave us a sidewalk plan. The reason we thought it was important to have a third party go through that process is as much as we could, we wanted to depoliticize the evaluation. Because each of us have our own concerns and our own ideas, and generally speaking, the community is in favor of a sidewalk if they think they're going to use it and it's in their neighborhood, but they might not be as in favor of it if it's in some other neighborhood. And so we wanted to make sure we depoliticize the evaluation as much as we possibly could. And so they scored these sidewalks. The green and the yellow and the red were existing sidewalks that needed replaced based on their criteria of the condition of the sidewalk plus the potential use of the sidewalk. So the worst condition plus the higher usage equaled the higher score for replacement, higher being it needed replaced quicker. The less usage and the better condition, it scored lower on the list. This doesn't represent all of the sidewalks in the community. It represents the sidewalks we will be replacing as a result of the WINS initiative. So there's a lot of sidewalks that aren't shown on this map that you're looking at. Green meant it was a priority, but not the greatest priority. Yellow, a little bit more of a priority. Red was an immediate priority. Okay? All of those colors on that map are getting replaced as a result of the WINS initiative. Again, look throughout the community where you see those sidewalks. It covers a lot of Hopkinsville. The blue are new sidewalks, sidewalks that don't exist, that were needed because of a lot of different variables. So you'll see Glass Avenue, which is covered by my sheet here, but Glass Avenue was a sidewalk that was listed as a priority sidewalk where we didn't have a sidewalk. And if you've been down Glass Avenue recently, you'll see, Councilmember Rayhard, in your ward, there is a sidewalk on Glass Avenue. It was ranked very, very high because nearly every day during the school year, not nearly every day, every school day during the school year, you will see kids walking Glass Avenue to get to Christian County Middle School, Christian County High School, even up to Freedom Elementary School, and even to the community college. And so that sidewalk was absolutely critical. Now, I've had some people in the community ask, well, why not North Drive? North Drive is a state route, and we are actually in the process, and Representative Thomas, thank you for being here. I should have recognized you earlier. Representative Thomas and other of our local delegation are working to advocate on behalf of a street improvement project on North Drive that will include a sidewalk from Freedom Elementary all the way into the interchange at 7th Street. They're also working to help us advocate for a sidewalk and improvements on 7th Street from basically the intersection of Dawson Springs Road all the way into the interchange at North Drive with a sidewalk. So as you can see, that area of town is potentially going to change drastically from a walkability and a public safety perspective because of our sidewalk on Glass Avenue and 2 state sidewalks that we're advocating for through the state level. So again, we appreciate your continued work. And when I say that, I'm not pandering to Walker. He calls us up all the time throughout the legislative session saying, what do you need? What can we do on the road projects? Where do you need us to go? He's been very attentive to our needs, and so we really appreciate that, along with Representative Dossett, Senator Westerfield, and Representative Beckler as well. So Glass Avenue was prioritized. It's been done. Woodmill was prioritized. Many of you know Woodmill Road, It's a major cut-through. It services the Dirt Avenue neighborhood on the southeast side of the Dirt Avenue neighborhood, but is a very large cut-through street between Pembroke Road and Fort Campbell Boulevard. And it needed a lot of improvements, so it's been paved, and we added the sidewalk, and that was to provide a safer, better environment, not only for the residents of that area, but also for the community that uses that road so much. Now, with that being said, I'm asking for your help and anybody watching's help that we need people to quit littering along Woodmill Road. We need to quit littering everywhere, but for some reason, people treat Woodmill as if it's their own personal dump as they drive through. And I see people shaking their head. Mike Perry's here, and he oversees a lot of our beautification and litter abatement efforts along with Robin Charles and Blaine and some of the other parts of the team. But I know Mike gets the complaints from the community very often. We can pick up Woodmill Road today, and by tomorrow you might not know it was picked up. Is that a fair statement, Mike? In fact, we pick it up consistently. We target it all the time. We need to hold each other accountable for litter abatement and litter control in this community. And that particular road is just an example of one where I don't know the people's motivation. I'm simply asking them to stop. Stop. There's a trash can not too far ahead. It's okay to keep that cup from the local fast food restaurant until you get to the trash can. It really is. But Woodmill was improved, and you see the sidewalk. And one of the reasons we put that sidewalk there is we know that we have a neighborhood park that we'll be placing there. So we wanted to make sure that there was a safe, walkable path to get people to that neighborhood park, which will be a neighborhood park, but will also be able to be accessed by people from throughout the community. You can see the other blues. I won't cover every single one of them, but again, the purpose of this map is that it reminds me, and hopefully you, of where these projects are taking place throughout Hopkinsville and Christian County. It's not just one area. It's all over the community. Also on that map, we have the 2 neighborhood parks that we're in the process of getting going, the 2nd Street Park and the Joe Mumford Park relocation. We have our greenway identified. Our expansion will take us all the way out to Tiebreaker Park. That's a really important thing to understand because once we get the sidewalk down North Drive tied in to the greenway, you'll actually be able to go from Sanderson Drive, sidewalk to the greenway, all the way to Tiebreaker Park. Now think about all this area around the greenway also has accessibility to the greenway currently. And so literally, if you live around the downtown area, in what we call our inner city, or anywhere close to the greenway or sidewalk system along North Drive, you will be able to get from north to south Hopkinsville safely using our greenway system into our downtown if you're so inclined. We think that's a great thing as we think about building a 21st century community. So the greenway's being expanded. We have the Sportsplex that's out by the James E. Bruce Convention Center, and of course the 2 downtown projects in the Alhambra and the museum upgrades. So these projects are underway. They are moving forward, and we are very excited about the feedback and possibilities that will come. And I'll conclude with the wins part of this simply by saying this isn't just about our own quality of life. It's also about economic development and economic opportunity. And the Sportsplex in particular, as I'll illustrate in just a few moments, has the potential to really add a tremendous